What's going on, everyone? I'm Chris Baker.
And I'm Ty Backer.
Welcome to episode 185 of Behind the ToolBelt with TC Backer Construction.
TC Backer. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. Roofing, siding, windows, gutters, solar. TC Backer, TC Backer.
Behind the Tool Belt is sponsored by Lead Scout. Find out more at leadscoutapp.com.
I just think our salespeople are being a little bit of, well, lead babies.
Yeah, we don't say lead babies. It's okay for people to specialize in selling instead of canvassing and lead gen for themselves. We call them roofing sales professionals.
Surprisingly, sales are way up as we've built heavier duty lead gen systems and let our salespeople be roofing sales professionals.
Better leads. TC Backer, TC Backer.
Behind the ToolBelt fam, TC Backer family, welcome. It is Wednesday. It is the best day of the week.
Yes.
It is episode 185, man. We're vastly approaching our 4-year anniversary here.
Here we
man.
are.
Very, very soon.
It's crazy.
We got a really good guest here today. We got Mr. Jordan Harrison. He's going to be talking a lot about some very interesting things with social media. So anyone that is watching obviously uses social media because you're on social media to watch this shit. So
That's right.
yeah, but we're going to learn a lot of really cool things here today. Super high energy, man. I'm sure Ty's going to talk a little bit about what he's got coming up this coming week. That's really, really special.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, let's just jump right into it. Ty, how are you, man?
I'm great, man. How about yourself?
I'm fabulous.
You enjoying this weather?
I am enjoying life.
Right on, man. Me too. Yeah.
It's good.
Suffering
Good
from
stuff.
Cadillac problems. I love it.
Yes.
Like we were talking a little bit earlier, you know, success brings problems, and we're here to suit up, show up, and punch it right in the face,
Absolutely.
and figure out and reinvent the freaking wheel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it's all about, man. You gotta I don't know if semplify is the right word. I have no idea what the fuck that means, but it sounds pretty cool. Sometimes
It sounds cool, man.
Sometimes you gotta semplify.
Yeah, badass individuals say that shit before
right.
they do cool shit. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So here we are. We're here to kick ass and take names, and hopefully we don't injure anybody in the process. And if we do, who cares?
Yeah. Jordan, what's up, man?
Not my height, that's for sure. 'Cause I'm short as hell.
We
That's
got
my
that good tune in here.
that's my bad teacher joke that I used to use all the time. That's a bad dad joke.
Bad dad joke. Speaking of bad dad jokes,
Yeah.
no, I don't
good,
have
man.
any. I don't have any off the top of my head. But Jordan, man, we've been following you for quite some time, man, and definitely have been inspired by a lot of those free nuggets that you put out there on social media, man. And you seem like a great dude with a big heart that wants to just watch people grow and succeed, and the circle of people that you seem to travel with, man, are really cool people. So Chris and I had the pleasure of going fishing pardon me, this weekend, and on the way home we were kind of talking about, you know, who's coming on the show, and some things kind of got moved around a little bit, and Chris was just kind of, you know, scrolling his Facebook page. And what's funny is like we both like mentioned you at the same
Mhm.
exact time.
Yeah, it was funny.
And it was like, Chris was like, you want me to reach
I
out to
was
him?
actually reading one of your posts, and he was like, that guy that and we were both, well, he was fumbling over trying to figure out who he was talking about, and I was like, this guy? And he's like, yeah, that guy,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Yes. Yeah. So you were voluntold
That's
to
right.
come on the show this week, and we appreciate you coming on the show. Like I said, we admire, you know, the hard work and the grind and the tenacity and the tenacious, you know, the way that you just go at it consistently every single day. I mean, I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't see something that you posted or a live or
Mhm.
some bit of information on how to improve somebody's, you know, or the quality of their company. So we really wanted to come on here and get you on, and hopefully people will take notice, you know, through our platform here to, you know, maybe start using you, and you know, whatever other stuff that you get out of it, and what we can learn selfishly from you, because we're in the business of being successful, and we
Mhm.
want to surround ourselves around other people and like-minded individuals that are also successful professionally and personally. And you seem to always have posts talking about your kids, like the time that you got to stay home, you know, and grateful that you're an entrepreneur that works from home, that when your kids were, I don't know if it was spring break, I think it was spring break,
Mm.
you were posting a good bit of stuff about, you know, how blessed you were to be able to spend that time, you know, that quality time with your kids, and that you were, you know, trying to make blocks of time during your day to spend with your kids. So man, that's kind of what we're about. um, I'm not the best at it, but I want to be intentional about it, and but anyhow, man, you got a lot of good stuff out there, man, and we appreciate what you do in the grind. And so for those that don't know exactly what it is that you do out there, why don't you give us a little rundown on what it is that you do?
Yeah, so we are we started out as a social media content only agency that was geared around contractors. And the big thing was that what's missing in the industry is social media content, especially on the video side. Obviously, there's a ton of people here that probably follow Joe Hughes, who's always telling you to get on video. My goal was to help bridge that gap a little bit, and getting more contractors on video, and give them the confidence to do so. And that's where we started. Within a few months, we expanded out and added the Facebook advertisements and Google advertisements as well. So our main goal is to get contractors and small business owners on social media, on video, building their brand and getting people to trust them that way, first and foremost. And then we scale it up through Facebook ads, automations, things like that to help generate leads. But the goal is to make sure you have content pumping out every single day of the week that's valuable, that's helpful. And it's the same approach that I take in my own business. Like I'm building everything organically. We haven't run ads. I literally was, when I first started, I remember week one, I think I put out like 30 videos. It's like, here we go, week one. I got one client. Let's start punching some videos. Let's start helping these people out. And the whole goal is to put as much value, content, and branding out as possible. So when people do find you, whether they find you through SEO or whether they find you through social media, they want to know who you are. And so we're trying to make sure that we help get that gap going. And in the process, one of the things that we do that's a little different is we try to teach you with your cell phone how to create these videos, because honestly, I create all my content with this. I don't touch nice cameras. I'm not a videographer. Call Patrick Carr for that. The dude's amazing.
Mhm.
But like on my webcam here, it's an iPhone, and so I've made contractors millions of dollars off iPhones. So
Mhm.
you got $1 million item right here that you can literally go create some really good content, and just be super helpful and teach and show people who you are, and that's hard. So that's what we do in a nutshell. That's, I mean, as easy as it is. We have tiered packages out. You can look on our website and check it out, prestomedia.co. Other than that, man, I'm here to provide value. That's it. I'm here to help, give you some nuggets, things that'll help you, things that help me. That's all. That's all I care about, is making sure we do that. Along the way, I'll be able to help people I'll make some more money. Because I was a teacher, we didn't make a lot of money. So I was like, people were like, you have to get into business or sales to make more money. I said, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, isn't that messed up,
Yep,
man?
Yep, full feet in. Just
See,
make the commitment,
yeah.
bro. That's all you got to do is make the commitment. But it's so true about the cell phone, right? So we started the podcast, and it wasn't. In fact, it wasn't iPhone 9. It was the NS. It was before
Yeah, the iPhone XS.
Yeah,
whatever the
in
heck that
between the
was,
8 and the 9, they came out with whatever that was, and that's how this all started. And then our second camera was like a $150 Canon camera.
Yeah.
Right. And we still have that. And I was just
remember we tried to use that and it was like it wasn't working. We went back to the iPhone.
Yeah.
We went back to the iPhone for a couple months, man.
Yeah. So and that's right. The cameras that are on iPhones today or drones or whatever the hell they are, those other kiddie phones that people tend to use, the cameras are just dynamite. And I mean, way better than some of the, like you said, $1,000, cameras that people are using now. There's a time and a place for everything, but for just doing like social media content and short form videos and stuff like that, like you do not need a fancy camera. All you got to do is just hit the record button.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or hit the live button or whatever the case might be. And that, so with, with having said that, it's like, so what types of video content do you recommend for contractors to effectively engage the people that they're trying to target?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways you can do it. It depends on your company. So like, what's your personality like? Are you just strictly professional? Do you like to have a good time? There's a contracting service called, I think they're called Any Hour Services, that I follow, and they do a variety of things, not just educational but entertaining as well, and they include local businesses in their area. But as far as video content is concerned, for the engaging side, it's like, one, you got to put out something that's relatable. That's always going to be the first thing. You have to relate to your customers. And you have to speak in that same way as well. So if you're talking over their head, if you're talking about crap that they don't understand on a roofing system, people are going to tune out quickly. So you have to be very relatable when you start with your content and be very specific and show people what's going on. They're not going to know what in the hell roof vents do or why I need one unless if they're a contractor, right? Or they're like my dad who can build a house. I just don't get it. I can't do it. I am not in the construction space. So finding videos that are helpful and then and relatable to customers, and then getting customers on video, man, showing people what you do. Those things are the best engagement of what you do. If you can be entertaining, I'm not the entertaining type. That's never been my thing. Like where I'm like, I'm not a TJ McCormick. That dude can entertain. I'm always been like, hey man, this is how it is. This is who I am. This is how I can help. But if you're entertaining, obviously go with that route and make it educational.
Right on.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I love that. So what platforms do you suggest a contractor to post their content?
So you got to think about what you do first. So if you're a very visual contractor, you're home remodeling, your roofing, I would even put that in there. You need to think about the Instagram and Facebook. If you're somebody who's just focused on, let's say you're emergency services or somebody that just like tree service, for instance. So say that, like, that's more of, I'm going to find you on Google and you just need helpful stuff. And you can choose any platform. But to be honest with you, you're going to always win on Facebook, and if you're very visual, like home remodeling, you can win on Instagram as well. If you're very good at video, then hop on TikTok. And the last thing I would say is, and YouTube's not really social media, so to speak, it's mostly, the search engine. But if you can create a lot of really good videos that are educational, have the right SEO in place, YouTube is a hidden gem that nobody talks about or tries to explore. And there are companies, I think Fox Heating and Air out in California, they have like 37,000 subscribers and they get like 10, 20 leads a week off their YouTube videos they've been posting for the past 5 years, 10 years. And so I think that you have to consider that. But honestly, Facebook, Instagram, you can go hard to paint there and win every time.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
on. Right on.
What can you say about how much do you know about the algorithms and stuff? Like what kind of consistent stuff do you need to do? Is it more about consistent daily posting? Is it the tags? Is it, what is it with the algorithms, and how do you get those things flowing well?
To me, it's engagement. So, are you engaging with others, especially Instagram? Are you engaging with others with your profile? So, if I'm posting on my business profile, am I logged into that, and am I engaging with others? Now, B2C is a little bit harder. So, the things that we can see that you can do, and I will do for some clients, is we'll go in and find local businesses and we'll engage with those people. That there is the number one thing that the algorithm wants, is they want engagement. That's so, if as long as you get people actually engaging and sharing your content, that works really well. If you do email marketing and you have an email newsletter, which everybody should be doing, you can share your social media content in there and help drive more traffic to that, to get it out there. But to me, the number one thing is always going to be engagement. Who's commenting, who's sharing your post, and that part is going to drive the algorithms more than anything else.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, no, that's
Very
good. So how do you stay up to date on the latest changes and updates in the social media space?
Oh, I follow a few people. But right now, I went wide when I started. I went TikTok, I went Facebook, Instagram, and then I narrowed my focus back down to Facebook, Instagram, because I was winning there. That's where I was winning. So I follow people that are in the space related to, their content creators that help business owners, and that's so I do follow the Gary V's of the world. I do follow the Alex Ramosys of the world. Those guys really know, and I try to kind of mimic some of the stuff they do, but they have a good understanding of how things are working in the algorithm. And then there's a few of the people on, like, Gary V's team that I follow, the guys that are behind the scenes. So I pick them up and find them, and they give you golden nuggets left and right about how to test things. Test this out, do this. If you're doing on Instagram, try this thing here and see what type of engagement you get, see what gets pushed on the algorithm. So following those behind the scenes guys on the big teams like Alex Ramosys and Gary V's, that's the best way. And then of course Instagram puts out updates, but they're always very vague. And then it's just testing. It's testing client stuff. It's testing my own stuff. So you kind of got to put it all together. But at the end of the day, like, it's still engagement. Are people sharing your stuff? Like, I mean, it's always going to win, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the sooner you do these things, the better off that you're going to be. And the more that you do it, and the more that you stay consistent with it. And what we do, I'm just going to throw a little nugget out there, and it seems simple enough, and a lot of people are probably doing it. But what we've tried to, coach or train, our sales department, is like, when they're out in the neighborhood, they should at least put like 5-yard signs out, right? And that's like a traditional form of marketing or branding, right? So you get the appointment, you run the appointment, you go out there, and in that neighborhood you put a couple yard signs out, and you can go even further than that, but I'll stop right there. But one of the biggest things that we try to do, and they don't do it as much as I would like them to do it, but when they do it, is to take a selfie in front of the yard sign, and then obviously post it, tag the company, tag the rest of the sales team and their friends and family and stuff in it. And when you can get your entire sales team doing that, and this is for free, I've had days already where it's like, it's taken me like 10 swipes to not see our company's face, or someone from our company's face on my thread. And that's just one easy way that we done it. And it's like, because a lot of people don't want to do a video, right? And a lot of times it's not just like the owner or like a sales manager's responsibility. We feel like it's like the entire team, because that's a part of your brand. Your team is your brand, right? Whether they're at a grocery store on Sunday morning wearing one of our company's shirts, right? And they're standing in line, and the the lady or the gentleman behind them is like, "Oh, you work for that company." I don't know how many times I've heard that story. And where leads came to fruition because of the amount of, swag that we hand out, and don't sleep on swag either. You know what I mean? Like any event that you're going to or at or hosting, like make sure you have an overabundance of swag, right? Like that's just something that should,
man.
we're in airports, and this is a true story. We've been in, whether it was Baltimore or where it was Texas or Utah, we've had people approach us and say that you guys are everywhere. And it's like, nope, we're in York County, Pennsylvania. The amount of hats and t-shirts that we've passed out to everybody. It's like,
Seriously,
there's not many people who haven't seen.
thousands,
Right.
thousands and thousands.
Right.
But
And go ahead.
no, I was gonna say it's funny when you talk about swag. So like inside my drawers now, what I wear every day is either I've got a bunch of Lead Scout was thankful enough for them to send me Chris and them send me a bunch of swag. Which it was dirty. My shirt was dirty, or else I'd have worn it today. I had Mike Stern send me a shirt. I have Blue Pages Pro send me a shirt. I've Project Map It. I've got swag, and that's almost what I wear every day. I'm like, do I have a normal shirt? Oh, here we go. Here's a Dave Matthews Band shirt. Let me put this on.
Right.
It's every day it's swag stuff, but it's super helpful.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the photo thing. I was gonna piggyback on that if you don't mind.
Go for it.
I feel like I interrupted you, so I apologize. But
Drop the nuggets, bro.
so you can tag your location when you do photos and stuff. Don't ever forget to do that. So like especially if you're in a location like a neighborhood, if you can get a tag on a neighborhood and it shows up, tag the neighborhood. You kind of have to look. There's a little icon. It looks like a little map pin. And you click on it, and if you start with like, all right, I'm in this neighborhood. Okay, nothing showed up. Let me try this local area. Because like I'm in Birmingham, but like I'm in a suburb of Hoover, right? So I may choose Hoover, right? And that location will help. Then put the hashtag of the city that you're in. Even hashtag the name of the neighborhood you're in. Like, hey, I'm in Russet Woods over in Hoover, Alabama. So that way, those little things help over time and compound over time. So like we've changed that strategy out for people. Yeah. So don't sleep on that. Even if it's just a photo, throw a location on there as close to that area as possible. Throw a hashtag in there with that name area. That stuff helps.
Yeah, and guys, listen, if anyone's watching this either live or on the replay, this does not just pertain to contractors. Anyone out there that is in any kind of business to consumer business, this is how you get your brand. This is how you get your stuff out there, man. These are nuggets for free.
Yeah. And really, if you think about it, it's like it's a non-traditional way or a traditional way of marketing yourself. And it's like, especially for anybody that's starting out in business with a low budget, shoestring budget for marketing and branding, a lot of it has to go back to, going back to the basics, right? But the difference today, at least for our generation is we have social media today to help promote that. Like we can tag the locations, right? Like we're not just out running around throwing yard signs and knocking doors and Post-its and door hangers and stuff like that. You actually get to use Facebook, to your advantage. And if you have the right mindset, and it's a race to get more touch points than your worthy rivals in, the neighborhood across the street or whatever. And that's how we see it. It's like, some people say 7 to 11 touch points. Other people say, I say, 11 to 13 touch points. If they've never heard of you, it takes 11 to 13 touch points before they call you if they need your service. So it's like we're racing to beat, the other guy that's in the phone book, the other guy that when they Google, roofers near me, we don't even want them to search roofers near me. We want them to search for our company name. And the only way to do that is to put yourself out there. And a lot of times you can't afford billboards. A lot of times you can't afford like a really nice truck wrap, right? But you can afford t-shirts, you can afford yard signs, you can afford a magnet on the side of your truck. You can afford a free pin on social media, right? Consistently.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And dude, arguably these things here, man, it's the most powerful tool, the most powerful marketing tool. And like, back in the day, Ty, I know that you always tell the story about the yellow pages and how you got started and all that stuff. Dude, the most powerful tool out there in marketing is free. It's literally free. It just takes time. Like you just have to dedicate some time. If you dedicate 30 minutes to an hour a night. If you're a contractor that's starting out, or you're someone in business or sales or something that's starting out, dedicate 30 minutes to an hour of your time every night before you go to bed. You're just chilling. Who doesn't look at their phone before they go to bed, or chilling on the couch or whatever? Dedicate 30 minutes to an hour of your time to go on there and be intentional on what you're doing on there. Share your stuff out, tag things, take these nuggets, man, because it works for anything.
I mean, it's your business. You don't want to put the effort into it, let it fail.
That's right.
Right.
Like, you're in control of that. Like, we really are in control of that. And I think a lot of people are like, well, where do I start? What do I do? What works? Well, if they're listening right now, that's what works. I mean, like, if you're looking for that silver bullet or that silver lining, and that instant gratification, but not only that, Chris, you touched on it. And Jordan, you touched on it, it's that compounding interest that we talk about. Like, you got to stay consistent with it. You can't just go to one neighborhood and put 3 yard signs out and not take a Facebook selfie, or getting testimonials, right, from your clients, or even taking a picture or selfie with that client with a yard sign in the background or standing in front of you. You don't have to. Everyone does selfies today. So those that are like, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. It's like, well, if you're starving for that much attention, then get with a homeowner, get in their front yard and take a selfie with the yard sign. And you know what I mean? Because it's anyone and everyone can do it. Stay as consistent about it in your professional life as you do your personal life, right?
Yeah. And well, think about it in your sales process too. Part of your selling point could be, hey, look, we want to do so well for you that you're happy to hop on video and talk about your experience with us. Like that's we want you to be able to talk and be an ambassador for us and share it. So like, that's how good we want to do. You almost prep them in the sales process ahead of time. That's like, hey, like, this is how good we want to do. And then obviously provide the quality service and be like, hey, I know you talked about being on video. Do you mind? Or shooting this photo real quick, talk about your experience, and then tag location, put the, hashtags on the bottom do help. They're not always going to be that relevant, but they do help. We've seen it increase engagement, but put that stuff on there and tell stories. And it's super impactful. And when you set the precedents ahead of time where you're like, hey, we really would love for you to do video testimonial out of all this, and guide them through it. I literally have a guide that somewhere that shows you questions to ask a homeowner, like 4 questions to ask them to get a good testimonial. That's a story type testimonial. So like which you can reach out to me to get any time. It's free. It's yours. But anyway, so doing those things, man, you won't even have to touch paid ads. And to be honest with you, I'll tell you this story, and I won't say it too loud, but I had a conversation with a client that's only doing PPC, and somebody's doing a bad job on SEO. It's nobody that we know. But anyway, I said, are you doing anything else? And they're like, no. So I'm like, you content, Facebook, like you got all these things you need to be doing. You can't just do paid ads. So even if you're one of those people that want the quick gratification for paid ads, you still have to back it up with some type of content strategy, organic strategy. Your name, your brand has to be out there. You're still going to struggle.
For sure. So I before I forget, I wanted to ask you this. What's your thoughts on Threads?
I was going to post this before I hopped on. I was like, well, I guess.
What is Threads?
It's supposed to be Instagram's form of Twitter, or Meta's form of Twitter. I was on there for the first 2 days. I haven't touched it since. I love Twitter because there's 3 things I follow on Twitter. It's usually sports. So I follow my favorite football teams and then like the Atlanta Braves. And then I follow the Dave Matthews Band. And I think there's like 1 or 2 other things I follow on there. And that's it. Like I use it for sports updates. Pat McAfee show. Love that show. Yeah. So like that's it. That's the only thing I use Twitter for. And I've tried to force myself on Threads. I'm like, this thing sucks. It's bad.
That's kind of my opinion right now. I made 3 posts. Now some of the followers come over from Instagram, but not all. And it might have been not all of them because not everyone from Instagram's getting on Threads either. But like I looked at Grant Cardone's page. He's already got like 113,000, followers on Threads. So for like somebody that's like an A-lister, that people just are tripping over themselves to follow them. I mean, I think for and who knows, it's going to get traction. I mean, it really is, because if you don't like Twitter or and you're right. It's like a mirrored image. It's Instagram's or the Meta's version of Twitter.
And
I don't even understand. Like what is the difference with Twitter and Facebook? I mean, you can do the same things on it, right?
Pretty much, kind of, sort of. It's go ahead. You know probably better than I do. I'm
confused, man.
Well, it's just Twitter's quick hitting. It's quick news. You get longer videos. You can now subscribe to people on Twitter, but I just think Meta was trying to put out something to compete because Elon Musk was gaining so much traction with the fact that he's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
He bought Twitter, and people were flocking over to there because they liked the apparent, non-filtered out approach that used to happen in there. And we won't get into that political side of things, but and I think Meta was just trying to, I'm guessing they're trying to compete. I never even heard they were developing Threads until the week before. They're like, hey, it's coming out. I'm like, what is this? And why are we doing this? I think the only benefit that it may help it be successful is it brings everybody over from Instagram. And it automatically does it. But at the same token, it's like, well, I feel like we're going to have the same conversation on Instagram that we did here on Twitter and Facebook. It's like, we're just going over here to have a conversation. Why don't we just stay on one platform? And that's why I like tell people who's doing content, I'm like, just stay on one platform.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe two. You can do Instagram because they interconnect really well, but
right.
Stay on one platform and dominate it.
Yeah, it's confusing because like it's already, if you post a picture on Facebook, it just automatically goes to Instagram. And it's like, I was telling someone not that long ago, like I don't really use my Instagram, but if you go on my Instagram, it looks like I do, but I really don't. Like I really don't go on Instagram, but shit just posts on there by itself, so it looks like I use it, but I don't.
No, I do hop on daily. I still hop on daily to engage with others. I still think it's useful, though. I think there's a generation that still uses it.
Right, for sure.
Excuse me. But, I mean, our generation, I feel like we're all about the same age. Mm-hmm. We adopted Facebook, so I still don't think you can ignore it.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't think so either. And, TikTok's cool. But what stinks is at least from my experience with it, it's tough to find decent music. They'll flag you very easily. At least some of the stuff that I've posted, they've silenced it. It's very hard to like drag it over to Facebook and get any sort of traction, because if it has that watermark, it just seems like the algorithms, I guess, for lack of tech terminology here, just don't seem to like pick that up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, that's one reason why I don't like messing with it. But I could see how like a serious content creator would seriously dig it, because like now CapCut is like part of its features and stuff like that. But I think if they would allow you to use more, I guess, voiceovers and different types of music, not their music that you can choose from. And maybe I'm doing something wrong, I don't know, but those were the hangups that I've come across with it. Like it just doesn't, Facebook Reels and stuff like that, man, it's like so much easier for me, but like Jordan said, and you've said it before too, Chris, like we've kind of grew up on Facebook. So it's kind of like when they change something, it kind of sucks.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, man. That's just kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, and that's what works for us. That's where we've gained most of our traction. That's where we stay most consistent with. And I think it boils down to like don't spread your bandwidth out too far. You know what I mean? If that's all you're doing all day, every day, bouncing back and forth between Threads, Instagram, TikTok and Facebook, like, okay, I guess that works for you. But for me, in Facebook and Instagram, it's intertwined. You know what I mean? So if you're posting a picture on Facebook, it's going to show up on Instagram.
Exactly.
If you're posting a video or a picture on Instagram, it's going to show up in Facebook. So it's kind of like a 1-2 punch. The only thing that I don't like about Instagram is that like your friends don't necessarily come over or those that follow you. So it's like you got to rebuild that brand over there.
Right.
That's the only downfall that I see with Instagram, that it isn't fully integrated. You know what I mean? And maybe over time that'll change, but it just, because it's like you said, it's like there's so much work to go into that following that you create for whether it be a personal brand or a professional brand that you're trying to create, it's tough to get a huge following unless you're Grant Cardone or
Right.
Bedro Koulian or Ed Milet or somebody like that. I
Right.
mean, no matter where you go, you're
gonna have followers.
you're gonna
and
have
people are
followers.
come. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So talking about branding, what do you guys think it's important for we'll just say salespeople in whatever industry, sales. Do you think it's important for them to have a personal brand on top of their company brand?
1000%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. People aren't buying TC Backer; they're buying the person that's going out to. In my opinion, I'm having a conversation with this person as a homeowner. So I'm a homeowner. You guys, I'm your ideal customer.
Right.
I pay for quality. I'm not necessarily not always buying the brand, but a lot of times I'm buying who's this person sitting in front of me. So if you're putting out a lot of video content as being part of the TC Backer brand, and this is who I am as a person, this is how I help homeowners, this is me, and I like you, and you come to my house, and I've already learned about you because I saw you on social media through TC Backer, then I've bought into you as a person and a brand. And I've developed that relationship ahead of time, and so I still think you can win. You can do it. You don't have to have it, but I think you can win even more if people know who the hell you are before you walk into the house and they feel like they know you. Because I can't tell you, I went to RoofCon 2 years ago. Nobody knew who I was. I was just a little fish. I just showed up and wanted to be there, right? I've got to learn more about the industry. I'm going to show up and shake hands. Second year I showed up, I had people go, love your videos. I know who you are. I had no clue these people were.
Mm-hmm.
And these people had seen my stuff. So I had already created a personal brand just pushing out stuff on content. So it just makes the sales process so much easier. It makes them trust you when you're walking through everything. So I think, in my opinion, if you're doing sales, if you want to win, build a personal brand, and I feel like you're going to crush it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we agree.
For real. Yeah, for real.
The same over here.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I mean, yes, it's definitely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think ultimately what happens is if the company doesn't have a brand, they're not going to, that salesperson's never going to show up anyhow.
For sure.
So where the foundation has to start with is with a good brand, awareness. And again, going back to, it's like the brand isn't the logo that you have on your shirt. The brand is your team. The brand is your past, previous, and current, client or homeowner or whatever industry that you're in. That is your brand. It's those people, your culture, your team, your customers screaming, from the rooftops, your company's name and the referrals and the references and things like that. Now, if a salesperson's spending all day long on social media doing a personal brand, then he should probably just start his own business.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, because what I don't really, I think, and I hate to say this out loud, but it's almost like a waste of time. Like, I'm not paying you to spend all fucking day long on social media. I'm paying you to knock fucking doors already. I'm paying you a salary to run these leads, to run these appointments. But I can definitely see why somebody would think that would be so important. And if you look back on those that are trying to do that, do eventually go out on their own.
Right.
So if me being an entrepreneur, not that I wouldn't promote someone to do that. Obviously, I want to see every single person's that's on our team's face on social media. Because going back to, yes, that's that brand. But if they're trying to cross brand, because there's a thin line there, right, that you can cross over, right?
Yeah.
If they're trying to cross brand with the brand that you and your family and your team has built over decades, that could be detrimental. I think so too. You know what I mean? Because all it takes is one bad apple, right? You could be feeding this guy all kinds of leads, right? And he's not following up. He spends all day long on social media, and then because of him being on social media all day long, that opens the door for bad publicity to come in. And recently we just had to let somebody go. It was actually a mutual agreement, but it was good. And it wasn't necessarily because of that, but it was just because it wasn't a good fit. Right. Like whether it might be whatever it was he was posting and on his personal page, and I guess it's a question, like, do they start a company page? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Chris the Roofer page, like it shouldn't probably be like their personal page where they're like posting pictures of personal stuff. Not that people don't want to see that too.
Yeah.
But I think if you're trying to be super duper intentional about it, maybe it should be a different company.
I see
page.
what you're saying. It is a fine line, man. It is a fine line, and it definitely takes high integrity to be able to do that and maintain the company brand as well.
Yeah.
Because that's important too. I mean, you have to make sure that it's Chris the Roofer with TC Backer. You know what I mean? Like you have to make sure that you have that brand. And like you said, Ty, that person isn't even going to be able to go to an office to open the door if there isn't already a brand established.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
I mean, they're going to want to go where there's opportunity, and there is an opportunity if you don't have a brand.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think somebody wants to go with somebody that doesn't have a track record, that hasn't been in business for over a decade and can stand behind those warranties 10 years from now.
right.
You know what I mean? When it really comes down to that, I mean, it's easy for someone to go in and poke holes in that guy that's spending all day on social media talking about how big their socks are, right? Like, hey, you should go with me. We're the best damn roofer, or like that kind of stuff like that. It's just kind of, and unfortunately, I think knowing what we know now about social media, it's unfortunate, but it's just a dopamine hit. And it becomes a distraction. Like they're not even working. It's just, they're so obsessed with being on social media that it's not even making their personal or their professional life very productive.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line there too, where you got to be careful that you're not sucked in to social media too much either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. That we could definitely go down in
For sure. That's what I'm saying.
a super deep rabbit hole on this, because I'm kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
I've seen the negatives, but to be honest with you, what benefits? Think about who we knew that has self-branded themselves. So why, as an entrepreneur, would I want someone to do that?
Right. And
because I'm in business to put my competition out of business.
I mean,
so I don't want to
you.
fight and battle with somebody that's eventually going to go out. I'm not going to give you the tools.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like it's such a fine line, and like I believe it's a great idea if you know
It's
for
the
sure
right
the
person.
person doing it is doing it for the right reasons.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It can be super helpful, but at the same time, it can also be super, super detrimental to what you're trying to do with your business brand too.
Absolutely.
That's a great point. And honestly, I didn't even think of it in that terms of crossing the line of outside of, being TC Backer in your own brand. And I've seen that happen, and I've seen people in the roofing industry split off because of that. So I guess I would have to say, when you're talking about personal brand, I guess just who you are as a person as part of the company. I guess it really in like, this is who I am, and this is how I serve customers at TC Backer. When I think of brand in that terms of like a salesperson, I guess I should clarify more than that, because you're making a great point. Is this is who I am, this is how I serve customers at TC Backer, and that's how I do it. And I think if you're in that part of the personal brand, and I talk about this with content all the time, like if you're putting out content about your employees, talk about what their role is with the company, how do they serve their customers, and then so when people deal with your company, they know what to expect. Like, here's our project manager, this is who he is, this is what he's about. And so I think I'm with you. I see that point. I didn't even think about that, but when I do think personal brand, I do think like, hey, like it's more of how do I serve customers under TC Backer, and this person I am.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're probably a person of integrity.
Obviously, I think, that probably goes along the same lines of what you were saying. If it's the right person, it works.
For sure. It can definitely go one way or the other at any given time. It's just, I know what we've seen.
I know. Yes. The proof is in the pudding in some instances, man.
Yeah,
for sure. We'll leave it at that.
But you want your team to be out there being your brand. I mean, I know
I know
how I feel about that.
Sure.
But somebody, what's over the top and what's not over the top. And I guess that's the point I was trying to make because, and I'm going to say David Taggart had done a great job over the years of self-branding himself, the roof poppy, right? Like everybody knows across the freaking nation, knows who the roof poppy is, right? And to his hard work and dedication, tenacity, and consistency, he was able to build that brand, right? So that transformation, and don't get me wrong, I mean, the work was put in and the work has continued to put in
Right.
and has created, and we talk about that success creates other problems, right?
Yeah.
Like he's dealing with those issues now, and I know he is. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been a small business owner
Right.
my entire life, right?
Yeah.
Like, so he's earned every ounce of what he's done.
Yeah.
But I can tell you the person that he probably worked for probably wasn't real happy, especially if they're in the same market.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly who I was thinking about. But yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I didn't
And
say it out loud, but I was
yeah.
like, that's
Super shout out
exactly
to
what I
yeah,
was thinking.
huge shout out to him because
For sure.
we're
yeah.
a huge fan of David Taggart, and
Mhm.
and
Oh,
he
yes.
I think he was like number 2
Yeah.
on our show, and he was on our show down in Denton, Texas, when we were all iced in down there in Denton. Him and his lovely, better half was at the show, and he was able to come on the show, and in our eyes and in the roofing industry, if there was different layers of, like, of course Grant Cardone's on that A list, but David Taggart I feel like is one of those A-listers that's in the roofing industry, right? Like, and I by no means was any of that derogatory.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he'd probably agree with you 100%. And honestly, whoever the person is that isn't happy with him probably has himself to blame for not
probably taking care of the way that he should have been taken care of.
Right,
too.
for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So
No doubt.
there's so many, like you said, Ty,
So
there's
many
such
variables.
a fucking rabbit hole that you can go down with this topic.
Yes.
But the proof is in the pudding in a lot of times, and the David Taggarts of the world, the successes are far fewer than there is the people that take advantage of that shit. So
because not everybody's cut out for this shit either, man.
For real.
You know what I mean? We all have our roles and we all have our places where we fit and where we excel.
Yeah.
Right. And some people can't take that amount of pressure, and it has nothing to do with financial status. It has nothing to do with luck. It has nothing to do with not all of it has to do with luck. Okay. Most of it has to do with that grit, that grind, that hustle very early on with very little. Right. And not giving up 5 minutes before that miracle happens continuously for 10 years.
Right.
Right. And a lot of people don't have that time. Right. And the truest statement is overnight success takes 10 years.
Yeah.
It seriously does. Overnight success, it could be 9 years, 363 days.
And you give the fuck up.
And know that finally, like, you get known on social media or whatever it was. But that's how that overnight happened on day 362. Like, finally, the day 363, it was finally like, and then everybody's like, where'd this fucking asshole come from?
Right.
And it's like, little did they know they have been just hustling their ass off for the past 9 years, 362 days.
Yeah.
I've been shooting video content since 2006. I've been shooting videos, but nobody would know because it was in a different capacity. But I've been doing camera stuff and videos and editing and since, well, I don't know how many years that is, but y'all can do the math for me. But but yeah, so it's the same thing. It's like people are like, you're really good on video. You've been doing it for 3 years, and I've been doing it since 2006 when I was a teacher. So I agree. I 100% agree. And I love Dave. We have lots of conversations together, and I love everything he does. When I had my podcast, he was like my third guest on there. I invited him on. It's when the Roof Poppy was really, the brand everybody's catching on, but it was when he first started A5 too. I said, tell me about your struggles. He's like, oh, it's struggles.
Yeah, man.
But it's great to see him now, like two years later since we did that podcast. And I love to see it. It's awesome.
Yeah, his success is awesome and is very inspiring and motivating, and I'm sure not just for me, but a whole lot of other people as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So what else? What other rabbit hole can we get down?
Yeah, I got a question for you, man. What prompted you to leave teaching to come into this space?
That's a great question. So back when when I first started teaching, I learned how to build websites. And I also got on video because I was a band director. And over the years, I would create websites for my band program to help them grow, give people an outlet. Then when social media came, I'd build pages for them. And I would start creating video content and showing people what we did. And these band programs would grow. We'd get money. So anyways, I just kind of had a little bit of a knack for it. I was a really great teacher and band director. I actually have the degree to be a principal, and I should have been, but we won't get down the rabbit hole. But in comes the pandemic. So I'm stuck at home. I got my 2 boys that are 1 and 3 at the time. And I was hanging out with them. And as a band director, I was working an hour away. We spend a lot of time at the school. We don't, we're not home that often. And I was missing a hell of a lot that I didn't see. And so I was out rebuilding the side of our fence, whatever. And I was like, all right, what can I do for some extra money? I said, let me, I started building some websites for people, and then I started getting the social media side of things. Then I went down the rabbit hole of Facebook ads, and I found people that were like, hey, get into digital marketing. And I was like, all right, let's do this. And so I did it part-time for a year until I realized, like, you know what, I don't, my last year of teaching, I was still doing, it was Presto Digital at the time. I was still doing that. And so I just realized, like, you know what, I'm missing too much time with my kids. I don't like who I am if I don't get to see them. And I don't want to be that dad that's, working all the time. So, well, I still work at home, but I still see him. But so long story short, it just came down to that. And I finally realized, like, let me go out on my own. And I did. I took the leap. I fell flat on my face when I did. I had to work for another marketing company for a year creating content. I won't say their name here. Didn't end well, but I started working with a marketing company for a year and really learned and understood the marketing space in general, got really good with content, even better with video editing. And so it came down to being home with my kids. Now I can take my kids to school. I pick my kids up from school. They're going to be bugging me all next week because I'll be home with them. And it boiled down to that. Like that was the denominator. And then on top of that will be money. Yes, I make about the same as I did teaching right now, but there will be a point where I make more and I'll have more time, more freedom. And the pandemic, I think was the turning point for me. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to step away from teaching. I gave it 15 really great years. I devoted 15 years to other people's kids. My kids are 1 and 3. Now I got the next 15 to build a business. My wife will retire from teaching in probably about 5 years. She wants to hop in and build with me. And we're hopefully in the golden years of our kids, we're going to be able to work from home, have a great business, make more money, and be there for our kids in a great time. And that's like, man, that's the transition. That was a pandemic. I guess that would be the transition.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's
really
good stuff, man. And it sounds like you had your priorities straight, and it so far so good. It's working out for you, man. And what a better, it doesn't get any better than that, Jordan. It really doesn't. You get to work from home, right? You get to see your kids, and I like how you said you don't like who you become when you don't get to see your kids, right? That's a pretty powerful statement. It's almost like it's almost like a junkie. Like, I don't like how I get without my drugs or something. But kind of thing. And it's like, you go through that kid withdrawal, and that's pretty cool that you've been able to identify that and that you care for your family that much. Because it's not, for many years, I worked my ass off. There were soccer games that I missed, first days of school. And, because I felt like that's what I had to do for him. So he had brand new shoes on, when he went to school and stuff like that, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just what my mindset was, 15, 17, 20 fucking years ago. Right. At this time. But fortunately, Rocket's 14 right now, soon to be 15. And I would say over probably the past 10 years, it's definitely improved. Over the past 5 years, it's definitely improved. And over the past 3 years, that has definitely improved. Even with Mackenzie and our grandkids. Now I have 3 grandkids today that just freaking adore me, right? And so I'm more intentional with that time today. Like, if I know that Skylar's at the house, I try to sneak over there at lunchtime, because Jana gets Mackenzie and Sky come over to the house 3 days a week, and she's been blessed. We've all been blessed where she's been able to actually be, a stay-at-home mom and then a stay-at-home grandmother, and still a stay-at-home mom, because obviously Rocket's still at home. You know what I mean? And that was the trade-off. You know what I mean? So when Jana decided to stop working when Jacob had his first kid, so they could both work. The trade-off is that I'll kill myself so you can stay home, take care of the household, and take care of the kids, and take care of the family, the dogs, and the animals. And that worked for us. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, you know, get confused and kind of stay stuck in that where it's like they when they're working and grinding and working and grinding, working and grinding, their family doesn't like who they become. Right. At least that's kind of what happened to me. And what I've tried to do over the years is like when I'm home, that's it. And Chris, you used to talk about it, you know, all the time. When daddy's home, he sets the tone. And whether I knew that or not, that's what we were already doing, you know, before we knew that. And you know, we don't take this home. There's very little until Jana watches the show every week that she even knows what the hell is going on at work that much anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know what I mean? Just because I don't want to take that home, I need her happy, because I know the second I tell her some bad news, we just then stir each other's pots. You know what I mean? But that's a good place that we've, you know, Chris, I know you get to spend a good bit of time with your family, and John Stauffer, who's watching tonight, you know, basically came in the office today and thanked me for the life that he has today, because, you know, if his wife decides they want to go to South Carolina, guess what? They're going to South Carolina. You know what I mean? It's like he can, you know, everyone can, I don't want to say they can kind of come and go as they please. But it's kind of, it's structured, I think, a little bit different than most companies.
It is, man. And we talk about this pretty frequently, man. It's one of them things. All right. So I'm going to shout out Sammy and Tyler right now. Okay. This is a perfect example. We have 2 employees that are on vacation right now, that are down in South Carolina. They could do that without anyone questioning. I mean, obviously you can take vacations in companies and stuff, but it doesn't really have to be a planned thing, because the entire time they're down there, I see in the evening times emails come in. I'm watching the invoices still get sent over from the AR department. I just got off the phone with Tyler an hour ago before I came here, while he was catching up on some things, asking me some questions. You know, he spent some time on the beach, seen some things that went down, came in, handled business. Like I don't have to worry about if people are going to, if Johnny wants to go to South Carolina, business is going to be handled. You know what I mean? There's a whether he's going to set something up for other people to fill in for him, or he's going to keep his emails open, or whatever it is, man, business goes on. It's business as usual, whether people are here or not. And like, that's the team that has been developed here. That's the culture that's been developed here. And, you know, it's one of them things, man. Like you can't put a monetary value on that. Like, you can't put a monetary value on the fact that I know that if my daycare calls me and my kid is sick, I don't have to fucking say a goddamn thing, but other than my kid's sick, I got to go. And no one is going to question me. Like I go and take care of my family, and hop on and take care of business when I get him situated. Like it's there's no question about that, man. And that's just what has been built here. And Ty, you touch on it sometimes too. It's like, you know, when people are late for work, they're not worried that they're going to get screamed at by Ty. They're more worried that they let me down, or they let their teammate down. They let, you know, Pam down, or whatever the case may be. You know, we didn't have time to get meeting notes typed up, or like whatever the thing is. Like it's more that than worried about being reprimanded or something like that. You know what I mean?
For sure,
culture, bro.
For sure. And it's about family. And again, going way back to the beginning of our conversation when we first went live, you know, what I think gravitated us towards Jordan was, you know, his family oriented business mindset type of person that he is. And not that we're selective or vet people before they come on the show, and maybe I'm a little biased when it comes to that kind of stuff, but you know, we like to align with people. It's like, you know, water seeks its own level, like, and real recognizes real, you know, and that's one of the most truest statements that I've heard for a long time. You know, it's like, and like Chris Schofield, he's in there busting my chops right now. And, you know, when he comes on the show, he's being voluntold right now, here in probably about 2 weeks. He's going to find out what's behind the ToolBelt, baby.
And it's funny. I met Chris I invited Chris on a podcast, same podcast a couple years ago. And like, we just stay connected ever since. Like we chat every day. I love Chris. He has been a backbone for me on the days that I struggle, because there's a few weeks that I struggled, and the same thing goes the other way. He'll struggle, and we're able to lean on each other. And that's super helpful, like to have a person like that. And, you know, like and it's hard. Now, I'll say this: working from home, there's a lot of nice perks. When I was teaching, you couldn't go to the bathroom when you wanted to, and you'd be funny how nice that is as a privilege to be able to just walk out to the bathroom. But it gets lonely at times working at home. And so I'll call Chris and, hey, what are you doing? He's like, I'm busy. I'm on sales call. Leave me alone. And I'm like, dude, I need somebody to talk to. I'm so bored right now. I'm bored, but I need interaction other than me talking to my cell phone. But he's a great dude, and I attribute a lot of me hanging in there to that guy right there.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and he's a good one too, man. I had the pleasure of hanging out with him at a couple different shows over this past winter, and he's a great guy. I mean, he's another guy that is big on his wife and spending time with her and their dog, and and works from home, bust his ass all day long. But I think who was it? David Carroll the other day posted, the one thing about entrepreneurship, we get to choose which 80 hours a week that we work. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what we've done, here we're what we do. It's like we kind of get to choose which, whether that be from 5 o'clock to midnight, you know what I mean, or if that's from 5 o'clock to 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. We kind of get that right today to be able to do that. And I think COVID has helped a lot.
Absolutely.
With that too. That people can work from home at 9:30 at night, after they put the kids to bed, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a lot of people here that do it. I know there's some days out of the week, being a single dad, I have kids, man. And there's some days that I have to handle my business, earlier than I would normally like to. But it's no thing to get on after 8 o'clock at night and work, you know what I mean? And like, no one questions it because the work gets done. The work gets done. I know Sammy does the same thing. They have a newborn. And I know you ain't getting shit done with a newborn. You know what I mean? That shit ain't happening. So put the kid to bed, and Tyler does his roof orders, and she gets invoices out and stuff. And I see the stuff happening. I see it happening. And Ty, to your point, COVID, I think, just really opened everyone's eyes that like everyone thought that shit was going to hit the fan, and then it just didn't. You know what I mean? Business kept running, and I think that helped our industry out a little bit. It kept the houses, the house boom for new construction, and like we talked about this on the way home from fishing this past weekend. But fortunately we were ready and in a line for that to happen, and we didn't even know what we were lining ourselves up for, but we were ready to rock and roll when that happened. For
sure, especially with the new CRM and stuff that we had in place.
Exactly.
No, it was all good stuff. So Jordan, what are your plans moving forward, man? Like what are your goals, ambitions, and where would you like to see Presto?
Yeah, we're putting together in the next 6 months. There's a big gap as far as like contractors getting on video, and it's hard for us to edit videos for them if they're not getting on there. So what we're trying to do here in the next the next year is focus locally, driving distance from me, to where I can go on site and I can help them shoot content for 1 to 3 months, show them how to shoot it with video, provide them with microphone, whatever it is to help encourage and get them on video. And so we're looking to grow within the Southeast area and focus on contractors in that vicinity, so I can actually drive to them, show up one day, let's shoot 2-3 months of content, and then let me get it back so we can get it out for them, and then have conversations and hear the stories, so I can make sure that when we're representing their brand, we're telling those stories that they're telling me, and the conversations they're having with homeowners. So we are putting a shift on trying to focus more of a Alabama local, and then move out into Georgia and Florida. Not to say we won't keep our clients that are out of state, like that's still there. But my most successful client is, 3 hours from me down in Dothan, Alabama. And I would literally go down once every 3 months, and we would just shoot video of his concrete fence. And I'd shoot video of him. And after 2 years of doing that, like we blew up his social media, millions of dollars in revenue, and he's I don't know if I could say it on here or not, but I'm not specifically saying it, but his product now will be probably starting to go into Lowe's now because of the stuff we did for him. So like, but I want to be able to I want to be able to show up face to face and have that conversation with people, and instead of a Zoom call or like, hey man, I need you to shoot some video. Here's good ways to do it. Here's examples, and then just not get them. And I want to be able to fix that problem by focusing in the Southeast area. So we're making that shift there to really grow the Presto brand in the Southeast for contractors and small business owners. But I like contractors because it's something that I'm not good at, and I have a massive amount of respect for it. My dad, like I said, I think I said it earlier, my dad can build a house tomorrow if you asked him to. I can change the outlet and change the fan out, and that's about it. I can change the fart fan out in my bathroom, and that's going to be about it for me. Like I can't do that stuff. So I have a massive amount of respect for the trades and what they do, and so it attracts me to them. And then they need help with the marketing side. They need help with video and content, and they don't know how to do it. So I'm, as somebody that was an educator for a long time, part of my job was to encourage people, help them see the vision of what they're doing, and then give them the tools to do so. So I'm just trying to take that same format and really grow here in the Southeast, starting with Alabama, then maybe Georgia, Tennessee, Florida.
Love
Awesome,
that.
man.
Yeah, love that. Good
That's
stuff.
good stuff.
Yeah, man. So how do you think how do you think that you're gonna get there? Like what's gonna take you over the top?
We I think I told Chris this earlier. Since I started the business, I've only lost one client. So I've stayed very client-centric focused, and I have not tried to grow outside my shell. And so I'm going to continue to focus on clients only, like in terms of like making sure that they're getting results, that they're getting my 100%. And then when I bring people in, because I brought somebody in and I had to fire them, I get rid of them because they didn't hold the same value as I did. So as I slowly build this thing out, I think what's going to take over the top is I continue to have that relationship with them where we can talk one-on-one, we can have a conversation. And that's going to be the hardest part for me is not getting so big that, that I can't have a conversation with, my Justins of the world that I've had for 2 years. Like he can't call me up and say, hey, what's up? And I think that personal relationship that I keep with him, that will end up keeping me over the top, because then people will want to stick around and they understand that I'm invested in their business. Like I want to see them win, because if they win, I win. If they don't win, then I lose. So I think those are the biggest things that'll take me over the top. I will continue to grow organically, and because we're going to focus a little bit more locally, I actually got a meeting tomorrow morning with a local HVAC company. I'm going to start getting inside businesses more and making that connection and meeting people face to face. I think that's way more impactful than a Zoom call. Hey, what's up? Let me ask you the standard questions and do that. So personal relationships and trying to keep those, I think will help me grow. And I'll stay small enough to stay profitable. I don't want to get so big that it's like I can't stay profitable.
Yeah. And John's got a question here.
It's a great question.
Yeah. What if your best customer wants
Wonder
to
where
hire
that
you?
question came from. We can. We want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So John was our website development guy. And I used to blow the shit up out of his phone all the time with questions, ideas, whatever. Hey, change this.
Do you remember
that.
when we first started the podcast and you would never remember your fucking Facebook password? And it'd be like 7 o'clock at night. You'd be like, I'm calling John. I don't know my fucking password.
Yes.
He kicked me out of Facebook. And he would always answer.
Yes.
He would always answer.
Yes. Oh, Johnny Stauffer, Johnny Star. Great dude. He's been definitely a huge compliment to our company, our culture. And I told him today, not to get off topic, but like I was trying to describe who R.D. Saunders is, comparison to John Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, and the example I used was it was like, it's no different like you filling my position, right, to go to an event and share our experience, strength, and hope. So that's who RD is in conjunction to John Maxwell. And of course, John being as modest as he is, he's like, fuck it. Like, no, that's, there's no comparison with you or me. The difference between you and me being there. I mean, obviously you'd be there, but that's how I feel about John. John would be like, I know that message is going to be exactly the same if I'm not there. And because of him and quite a few of you guys, you know, and when Jordan was speaking, you know, one of the, you know, in the questions I asked him, like, well, you know, what do you think would put you over the top? And I know for me, one of the things that I struggled with big time was letting go of certain things, right? I just felt like nobody else could do it better, right? You know, I built this thing. This is my baby. You know, they're not going to fit the culture or whatever like that. But the second that I was able to adjust my picker, right? Like my picker, like who am I going to pick and delegate things to, at that point in time, like the company grew exponentially. Now, was it always a great pick? No. Right. Did I leave them around too long? Yep. You know, has there been a lot of growing pains, right? Am I very experienced? Right. You know, we talked about that earlier, like all of the mistakes that we've made along the way. I consider it experience. You know, without those mistakes, we wouldn't be who we are today. But one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that first and foremost, I don't need to know everything. Right. I need to stop trying to figure out how I'm going to do this and start looking at it like, who am I going to get to do this or help me with this?
Yeah.
Right. You know, because I have strengths, I have weaknesses. I know that I can't be a fool to that. So I don't know. That's just kind of like a nugget that I wanted to share with you, Jordan. It's like, it's not always how am I going to do this? You know, it's who am I going to align myself with? Who's going to be my alliance? And John Stauffer, right? Moral of the story. Dude was brilliant. I do not want to figure out how to create a website, nor do I give two shits about SEOs, other than the fact that it creates the phone to ring. And really that's all I give a shit.
Just works.
Yeah, it just works. John, make it work, right? He does, and he does that well, right? Like he just is a freaking animal when it comes to those things and keeping up on what Google's doing next and what we should be out in front of. So, you know, just if anyone's listening and they're a small business owner, man, it's not about how I'm going to do this all the time, and don't hold on too long, especially if you're screaming, grow, grow, grow. Go, go, go. A lot of times we're the bottleneck where there's, you know, when we're pointing the finger, there's three pointing back at us. So, plus two, that helps you spend a lot more time with your family if you have somebody else doing some shit. So,
yep. That's my next thing. I handle all of the copywriting, and I make sure that I really listen to the voice. And right now, that's the hardest hire that I've had, because I want somebody to be able to listen to these guys and go, all right, this is exactly how they want to be conveyed. And right now, that's the hardest part for me to let go. But it's one of my most time consuming things. Is literally right up until this show, I was writing content out for one of the clients, and I've gotten really good at understanding his voice and what he wants to represent his business. And it's like, man, I got to find somebody that's got to put that amount of effort into, or that amount of caring for these guys. Cause like they can't do it all themselves. So they want to make sure they're represented the right way. But no, I'm with you. That's right now. That's my struggle. I just finding that right person.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. You know what I mean? It's definitely tough, and it's scary. You know what I mean? Because these people are going to be representing you, especially when your back's turned, right? But I think once you get over that hurdle and you find that one good person, right? That one person that gives you the confidence and the motivation. Plus, the other thing it did for me is like, now it's not just me and my family that I'm responsible for. It's me and this other person and their family that I'm responsible for, which then I think gave me more energy to not want to fail. Like, now failure is not an option, because it's one thing if I got to go home and tell the old lady, like, look, we're not going to make it. I got to go get a job at Lowe's. Okay. You know what I mean? Usually I would be supported, but to have to go to somebody else and say, look, we're not going to make this. You need to pack your shit up and get out, because I'm sorry, I just don't have any more work, is a lot harder of a conversation to have with an individual, especially if you care for them and you get to know their family. because you're not just looking them in the eye, you're looking their significant other in the eye, you're looking their children in the eye, and they've relied on you and trusted you. And that's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? Is building that trust, and it works both ways, right? Like if I'm very untrusting, it's going to be difficult for them to trust me. So I have to relinquish some of that power, some of that trust, to reciprocate that back from them. And I feel like we talked about earlier, water seeks its own level and real recognizes real, right? So there's got to be somebody that's out there that aligns with your personal core values. That might be a close friend, a close individual, or who the hell knows where, but it just seems like once you start to let go, you know, it's the time that you start to grow.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
Beautifully said.
Yes, I agree.
Well, boys, we're at an hour and 15 minutes here. It's been a great episode.
It was.
It's been a great episode. There's a couple things that I think we could have really dug into there.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's just kind of the MO of a lot of our episodes.
Easily distracted too.
Yeah. The boys have definitely been having a lot of fun behind the scenes here the past couple of weeks. I love it, man. It's a good time. It's what we do this for. The comments have been on fucking fire. You guys have been killing it in the comments. I can't even keep up with it half the time. But shout out to all you guys that hang out in here, man. This is like, you know, everyone's traditional Wednesday now. They get in here and clown each other, and I enjoy going back through and reading some of the shit that you guys say about me. It's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I put it on while we're cooking dinner with my wife. She's like, what are you listening to? And it's behind the tool belt. Like, because I have it sitting on my phone, and it'll be sitting in the kitchen. We'll be making dinner. She's like, can you turn that off? Like, it's so loud. I'm like, I don't care. It's fun. It's like hang out Wednesday.
Yeah. We'll try to keep the F-bombs down.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about not being able to cover all the topics, that's just an excuse for us to have you come back on the show and talk about maybe new products and where you are, you know, in your journey now, as you know, in entrepreneurship and all that good stuff. And that's really where it comes down to. You know, behind the tool belt came from, like, you know, who is the person behind the tool belt? The guy, the woman, the individual that puts in that daily, you know, that daily grind, that daily hustle. And a lot of times people, and we touched on that before we went live, you know, a lot of people don't talk about that, like where we came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It hasn't always been glitz and glam and sugar coated, man. This is a hard, you know, any industry's tough. And especially if you're a solopreneur, you know, it's not easy. Like you said, I got to call Chris, man, I need someone to talk to. And it's like, that's one of the downsides to solopreneurship. You know what I mean? It's just me, myself, and Irene. You know what I mean? I'm talking to myself all day. I'm going fucking crazy because I'm actually having conversations with myself. You know, and it's good that you have a friend like Chris. You know, Chris Scoville. You know, he's a good dude, and you know, keep hanging with the winners, brother. You know, good
100%.
stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff will happen. But thank you for coming on the show. We'll definitely get you back on. And Chris, if you're still on there, just know that you'll be on in a couple of weeks, and we'll show you the symbol, the product that's behind the tool belt here, buddy.
I don't think you're ready for that.
Yeah, probably not. But anyhow, thank you again, Jordan, for coming on the show. If you ever need anything, man, like, do not hesitate to reach out to us on the back end through Messenger or whatever. More than happy to have a conversation or just shoot the shit with you or whatever, man. It's just know we're in your corner and we got your back, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Super grateful to be invited on. That's something I struggle with, but try to practice with, is being grateful. So I really appreciate it.
No doubt.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
If you guys have not done so already, make sure you hop over to the YouTube page, like and subscribe to that, so we can continue to build the algorithms, because Jordan told us that that's a hidden gem. So
There you go.
like and subscribe to that stuff. We'll see you guys next week. We got a special episode next week. Tyrus is going to be away.
Yes.
He's going to be from a remote top secret
Yes.
location. But we will still be live, because we don't ever not go live. So
No, always.
episode 186, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you guys next week. Everyone enjoy their